Tammy, looks like we're stuck in traffic for a bit. We've got puppies to take home too, and
I'm so glad we have our traveling incubator.
I am too. Yeah, because we were okay.
Because we would have been in problems.
Yeah, it would not be good.
No.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, again, here's my sales opportunity right here. Tammy brought up a good point. You know, you never know how it's going to go. There can be external situations that force your hand that you had no idea. Example would be that you get stuck in traffic for hours and hours and hours. Our puppies are in the incubator. They're happy little clams. Mum's asleep back there. If this delays us for a couple of hours, which is quite possible it will, because I can see traffic all the way into the distance. It's been some big wreck.
Sakes.
Yeah. So, you know, we're not sweating them. I want to get home and get these babies with Mum, but we'll be fine. So, just when do you need an oxygen concentrator? When do you need an incubator? If you could predict it, you'd have already bought it, but you don't. When do you need a puppy feeding tube? Things like puppy feeding tubes, by the way.
I always think of the what ifs.
That's exactly
what if this happens?
How many vets do we have on hand for this breeding?
We had 4 on call.
Had 4 on call.
Yeah.
4 on call.
We happened to go into, had an appointment for elk for our shot, and bingo bango, Kit started in, and so
And we don't like emergency C-section in the middle of the night.
No.
We don't like them. We don't like them because it stresses everybody. We don't like them because they tend to be much more expensive. We don't like them because at an emergency hospital you tend to have the most junior person in the whole place who's maybe only done 1 C-section before. I'm not bashing those people. They've got to learn somehow, right? But you know, it's all about good planning. This is an example of good planning. All right, so we're off my high horse. Laureen Romero, what's your thoughts on poodles being merle? Unsure, are they really not pure poodle?
Oh, they're pure poodles. The color has nothing to do with that. That just aggravates me so when people say that crap.
Well,
it was just like when we used to raise Labradors, somebody said, well, chocolates are to be stupid dogs. And I said, I have a chocolate Labrador, and she was probably the smartest one in the bunch. Or if a horse with 2 blue eyes, they were crazy. You know, things like this are so
Tammy's
stupid.
got 2 blue eyes, and she is crazy. So there's anecdotal evidence.
Sleep, so get ready, because this infuriates me when people point out colors to be, you know, something.
I think there's a difference between
purebred.
somebody who's asking a question because they're unclear versus somebody who's spouting this because they think they're right.
Yeah.
So I'm spouting this because I believe I'm right. But here's the argument. Actually, I'm going to tell you something else that is very interesting. Tammy showed me a picture yesterday of fluffy Frenchies from what was it, Tammy?
Oh, gosh.
1930s?
1918 or
1920?
1930s, I don't know.
And they called them Angoras.
Yeah.
So they were French bulldogs that were fluffies.
But they called them an Angora.
Called them Angoras
bulldog,
back 100 frickin' years ago. So those dogs, however they came about, obviously if they continued breeding them, would now be absolutely purebred French bulldogs, no question about it. And just remember this, every single breed that you're looking at, whether it's a Chihuahua or a Great Dane, they all come from a common ancestor.
If you have a question about it, do embark.
Well, that doesn't always tell you the answer, but it's a place.
Does, yeah.
But here's the other part about this. How many genes make up a dog? The answer is about 30,000 genes. There's about 30,000 genes that are, by the way, of which we share probably about 85% of those genes. But there's 30,000 genes, right? So it takes a single gene change to produce a merle dog. One gene change to produce a merle dog. Do you honestly believe that a single gene change is going to make the difference between a poodle that's a merle and another poodle that is not merle, that it's any different in terms of the rest of the dog? It's just nuts. It's just completely nuts. The reason that people...
Probably a show person that told her that information.
Oh, I hear you crying away. Let's just stroke you a little bit. There you go.
Yeah,
so the reason that people think this, they think, oh, it must have been bred with something that's not a poodle. And obviously that could be true. But if it looks like a poodle and it barks like a poodle and it walks like a poodle, it's a bloody poodle. Don't get too worried about this, folks. And if you're unsure, Tammy's suggestion, MBOG test.
Yeah.
Prove it. MBOG test is not any good if you've got lines that are European, because you'll get silly answers. But if all the pedigree is an American pedigree and you do an MBOG test, it's going to come back probably 100%. So just don't worry about this. It's yeah. I still got that puppy crying.
Yeah. Just wants that extra touch right now.
Jenna Farmer, thank you so much for these videos. Just had my first litter of Frenchies. I want to say thank you for helping me a successful litter with all the help. First time breeder. With the progesterone, the timing, the right for C-section. Had 4 healthy puppies born yesterday. Excellent. I love it. Yote50, I have a stud that carries DM. Should I worry about it? Would it affect his future career? Well, it doesn't matter. DM doesn't affect French Bulldogs. I do have a video that explains this in some detail based on real scientific evidence from university studies that DM does not afflict French Bulldogs. But other people will say contrary to that. But they need to go look at the science. The answer is, will it affect his stud career? Yes, it will, because there'll be a lot of people out there who don't realize that DM is not an issue in French Bulldogs. Because of that, they won't use it. So it will affect his career, but it shouldn't. WTF interviews. Let me tell you that's wrong. A new shade is BBCOCODD. Okay. Well, all right. So you and I disagree on this, but I'm going to make this statement. A dog that is both COCO and BB is new shade. Now, the question whether you want to call it an Isabella or not is based on the blue gene. But any dog that carries both versions of chocolate, in my book, is a new shade. That's what makes a new shade. So that's a new shade chocolate. So new shade chocolate would be both versions, 2 copies of both versions of chocolate. That's what I'm calling a new shade. You don't think that's right? Well, anybody else wants to chime in, do so. Star Lewis, can you give them human folic acid? Apparently yes. Folic acid is folic acid. It's all the same stuff. Folic acid, there's nothing special about folic acid, but it's used for a horse or a human or a dog. It's folic acid. It's like water. Water is water. There is H2O is water. There's no difference between water that comes from Iceland and water that comes from Oklahoma, other than impurities, which aren't probably significant, by the way. So I get my eyeballs on this one. Who'd have thought 20 years ago that you could build an empire selling water? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And one other thing about water. These days, these places have to put where the source of the water on is, on the bottle, and lots of them say municipal water supply. They're bottling water from their local place and selling it to you just so you don't pour water out of your tap. You're being hoodwinked, folks. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Lack of science knowledge. People will chime in on this one. Anyway. Okay. Another one, folic acid. Any videos or advice on what to give through pregnancy, folic acid? I've ordered 400 mcgs, which is micrograms. And I believe it's 200 per day. I found 1,000 micrograms, which would be 1 milligram, and they need 5 milligrams a day. Yes. And apparently you had 2 clefts, full lip, so maybe it's genetics. So the answer is, if you look at the scientific studies, so someone says his historical views is 0.2, and others say 800. I think might be a vet call. No, it's not a vet call. It's a science call. It's a science paper call. Look, go look at this. Go look at the scientific paperwork and what's going on with humans too, because we give mothers to be a lot of folic acid. It's safe stuff. I mean, like anything, you can probably give too much of it, but I don't know what too much is. And 5 milligrams is not too much. That is 5,000 micrograms, and you give it daily from the time that you weigh height till the time that you C-section. But Kit back here, she got 5 milligrams, 5,000 micrograms every day, along with a pet vitamin. And we don't have any clefts. Now that doesn't prove that cured clefts. Clefts can be caused because of maybe hereditary, but it appears as though there can be a problem with trace elements during the pregnancy that stop certain things from developing properly. There is some evidence, specifically from humans, that there is a very good reason to give a pretty good dose of folic acid. So my advice to you is, now if you go look at things like bitch pills, oxymama, they don't have that much folic acid, and I think they should have more based on the scientific papers I've read about this. It's 5 milligrams. Now, if you've got a really small dog, if you've got a little Chihuahua, should it be 5 milligrams? Probably not. Probably if it's a 5-pound dog, probably 1 milligram is fine. And if it's a Saint Bernard, maybe it should get 10 milligrams. I just know about what I've read for Frenchies. It's 5 milligrams. Average sized dog, 20 to 30 pounds. And there we go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.